If one sentence can keep playing in your head for hours, the problem may not be that you think too much.
It may be that your mind is trying to make life safe before it lets you live it.
Overthinking is often a rehearsal room. You do not enter it because you love worry. You enter because something feels unfinished, and the unfinished thing keeps calling your name. You reread the message. You replay the tone. You imagine the answer you should have given 3 hours too late. The room gets louder, not because the moment was huge, but because uncertainty leaves empty space for your mind to fill. This does not make you broken. It means your attention learned to stand guard where certainty was missing, and it still believes vigilance is kindness. Here is the loop. Uncertainty starts the analysis. Analysis gives a moment of relief, and relief teaches the mind to analyze again. For a few moments, reviewing feels useful. You feel a little more prepared, a little less exposed. But the relief does not close the case. It only buys another ticket back into the same room, with slightly better arguments for staying there. Soon you are not deciding. You are auditioning possible futures, hoping one of them will finally feel safe enough.
One future says you will embarrass yourself. Another says you will be misunderstood. Another says silence is safer.
Planning asks, what is the next honest step? Rehearsal asks, can I remove every possible risk first so nobody can surprise me? That second question sounds responsible, but it has no finish line because life never hands over complete risk removal before the curtain rises. The mind keeps saying, one more pass, one more angle, one more version where nobody gets disappointed. Usually, this habit began as intelligence under pressure. You noticed patterns. You predicted moods. You learned that being ready could reduce pain, or at least reduce the shock of it. So the goal is not to insult the part of you that thinks ahead. It kept watch when watchfulness mattered, and it deserves respect before redirection. But a guard becomes a jailer when it stops asking what is dangerous and stops blocking every doorway. Insight moves toward contact with reality. Rehearsal moves toward more rehearsal. That is the difference. An insight might say, I should apologize. Rehearsal says, first prove the apology will land perfectly. An insight might say, choose the small next option. Rehearsal says, simulate the next 10 years first. This is why overthinking can feel exhausting, even when you barely move. You're spending energy inside imagined trials, defending yourself against questions nobody has asked. You leave the real conversation, the real work, the real afternoon, and sit in a mental dress rehearsal for a life not yet happening. The question to ask is simple. Did this thought produce a next action, or only demand another thought? If it produced an action, keep it small. Send the message. Make the note. Ask the question. If it only demands another thought, you may be back in the rehearsal room wearing preparation as a disguise. The exit is not a dramatic breakthrough. It is usually a small door you have been walking past. I am trying to get certainty before I move. That sentence matters because it changes the job. You are no longer solving every future. You are identifying the demand. A thought becomes useful when it changes your relationship with the next minute, not when it decorates the whole future. Then ask, what would I do if I accepted that a little uncertainty must come with me, like weather I can't negotiate away? Your mind may object. It will say, that is reckless. It will ask for one more review. Let it object. A habit that kept you safe will not retire just because you noticed it once. It needs evidence, not humiliation. You do not need to defeat the rehearsal room. You need to stop mistaking it for the whole world.
The practice is contact. One small action, real feedback, then the next adjustment. Not endless prediction, and not a heroic leap.
When you are replaying a conversation, the next action may be one clarifying sentence, not a private trial of your entire personality. If you are stuck between options, the next action may be a reversible test, not a verdict on your life. If you are polishing the same task for the 5th time, the next action may be sending a version that can receive reality. Because reality, even when uncomfortable, is often kinder than the endless court your mind builds in private. The rehearsal room promises safety, but it often protects you from the very evidence that would calm you and update the story. Prediction asks the mind to be the world. Feedback lets the world answer a smaller question. Think of the thing you have been rehearsing lately. Not the whole life story, just the scene that keeps coming back. Now, ask what it wants from you. Does it want preparation, or does it want a guarantee no human life can give? If it wants a guarantee, do not argue all night. Offer it one honest next step instead, something small enough to survive imperfection.
Movement will feel imperfect. That is not proof you chose wrong. It is proof you stopped waiting for impossible permission.
The loop says, think until safe. The exit says, act small, learn real, adjust gently. You are not trying to become someone who never thinks deeply. Depth is not the enemy. Depth listens, connects, and chooses. Rumination circles, tightens, and postpones, while calling the delay wisdom. If this helped you name the room you have been living in, stay with the channel. We will keep choosing the door together. You do not need perfect certainty to leave rehearsal. You need a next step small enough to carry. The mind can rehearse. Let it. Then thank it for trying to protect you, and step back into the scene.